Garrett Blevins here. What I'm going to show you today and what I'm going to put up online is an Excel sheet that outlines linear periodization as a basic template to make your workouts around microcycle for powerlifting. I have a video series out on this already. I believe it's 4 parts right now. This will be part 5. And this, the objective of this video is twofold. One is to show you how to work in Excel to make workouts, and the other is to show you how to use the Excel sheet that I upload, and hopefully you'll be able to get out to you guys in an easy to download format. So here we go. First thing you're going to do when you make an Excel program is you're going to make a sheet that you call data. The way that you name the sheets is you click on them and you can type in and make it whatever you want. We're going to call this example because we're not going to make a whole sheet. It would take too long. But so let's delete, or well, you guys know how to type. So the way you work Excel, you click into a box and you can type. I'm actually going to highlight this row, right click or double click if you're using a Mac, and I'm going to insert a row above this. And it gives you options. You can shift the cells right, which would push them over here. You can shift them down. We want to shift them down. So we have the lift. I want to add in a total. This is a raw max. And we're also going to make a 365 strong number. Now I'm going to show you how to do 2 things with this. First, let's do a sum. Sum, you're adding things up. So your total is these 3 cells added together. The way that you make a sum in Excel is you hit the equal key, and that tells this cell it's going to equal something. What is it going to equal? What I'm just going to teach you 2 names. One is going to be sum, and so that's going to add up. But you have to put parentheses in to tell it what you're going to add up. So you put both parentheses. You can really just put the open-ended, the opening of the parentheses. You don't have to close it, or else you get that error message. And once you've got the cursor in between those parentheses, you just drag it up through what you want to add. And you see how it says there, B2 colon B4. That means B2 through B4. And as you can see, this is column B, 2, 3, and 4. So column B, rows 2 through 4. And then after you've entered what you want it to add up, you hit enter, and there you go, it sums it for you. Now over here, the 365 strong number, a term coined by Brandon Lilly, is 95% of your best 1 rep max on a test week. And so you use your percentages for your workouts based off of 95, because some days you're going to come in beat up and you're not going to be doing so well. And you don't want to miss reps in the gym ever in your training. You never want to miss reps. And so he's made this kind of, it's a fail-safe in the system almost. Now the way we're going to do that is we're going to type in again equal. You always start with equal when you're using a formula. 0.95, and then you're going to do the times symbol. That's it. You hit shift and then 8 usually on a keyboard to get multiplication. And then you're going to click the cell that you want. This happens to be B2. And so you just click on it, it highlights it. You could also have typed in B2. And what this is telling you is this cell here will equal 0.95 times cell B2. So then you hit enter and it populates. Now, you can do that individually for each cell, and you can do the equal 0.95 times the cell. This would be B3, or you can just highlight it. The cursor, you can do different things with the cursor. When you see the kind of bolded cross, that just means you're going to click into something. When you see a hand, it means you can pull that cell around and drop it wherever you want. Or when you get the, instead of the bolded 3D cross, this just black line cross, it means you're going to recreate the cell, all things being equal, recreate the cell, but it kind of works in an interesting way, so I'll show you. If I drag it down, what it does is it takes that formula that was originally times B2, but since I dragged it down, B2 became B3. Oh, sorry about that. Let me fix that. You can get yourself into a little bit of trouble with Excel sometimes if you click too fast. So if you drag it down and then here, it's times B4 because I dragged that formula down. Since I kept it, I told this initial cell, it's in cell C, but I told it to look at B2 as what it's multiplied by. It kept all of these B. But if I dragged this cell over that original formula I made, it'd no longer stay B, it would actually change to C, and it would mess up the whole thing. So since I wanted it to multiply down these numbers, which were all in one column, I could just pull this all down one column. Oh, did that again. Sometimes I forget to hit enter. And then I want to make a sum again equal SUM open parenthesis for these. I also could have taken this formula and just dragged it over and it would have done the same thing. So these are your basic numbers that you're going to use to auto-populate all your other workouts. You're only going to have to change these 3 cells ever to make your entire workout happen. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's start with an example. When you open a new sheet, it's got this block, the page break in it. To get rid of that, you go up to View. I don't know if you can see that or not on the computer, but there's a tab called View, and you just make it normal instead of page layout. So let's start making a basic structure for our workout. We'll go week 1 here, week 2 here. And we'll have sets, reps, total reps, weight, percent. I need to add one more column, and volume. Those are things I like to track, so I just make it that way. And we'll take this. Sometimes you can copy and paste if it works, depending. Command C copies, Command V pastes, or you can double click if you like to be a double clicker. So on week 1 we're going to have day 1, day 2, and day 3. Missed the 1 there. There we go. And on day 1 we're going to call this our squat day, our bench day, and our deadlift day. Apparently I'm having trouble typing today. Alright, so let's say we're doing 3 sets of 10 repetitions. We're going to use that another formula here. Instead of telling it to multiply 2 numbers or a cell by a number, since we have both of the numbers we want to multiply by, we're going to use a formula called product. So sum and product are the 2 formulas that I'm going to teach you guys. Again, always start with an equal sign. And then just like with the sum, you drag it over the stuff that you want to be, in this case, multiplied together, and you hit enter, and it did it. 3 times 10 is 30. And I'll show you why that's helpful. Now, here's where it gets a little fancy, so pay attention to this. If you have to replay it, go ahead. We're going to get our weight. Now, our weight is going to be at a certain percentage. Let's say we're doing 3 sets of 10 at 55%. So, in this column, we're going to write 55%. Or you can write 0.55. I prefer 55%. And then we're going to do something interesting. This cell is going to equal that cell multiplied, and that's shift 8 to get the little star for multiplication. It's multiplied by this percent, but we're going to go back to the data page. Again, this is squat, so back to the data page that we originally created, and you're going to click on this, squat max. Go back. Now it's telling you, see this where it says data and then it's exclamation point C2 plus example exclamation point C2. Oh, it's in there twice. I'm sorry, I must have tapped it twice. Sometimes I do that. It should look like that. That's telling this formula multiply by cell F3, which that's where we wrote 55%. It's just covered up right now. So multiply that times cell C2 of your data sheet, and that's what's over here, and that's why there's an exclamation point. That's how Excel knows it's looking for another sheet. So you can't call your sheets the same name. They have to all have different names. It'll tell you that. It'll give you those little error pop-ups. But anyways, you hit enter, and now right here we have automatically off of that data page our squat max at 55%. So let's do the same thing. 310 equals product 3, and I tab to go to the next one. I mean, you can click if you want, but once you finish writing something, you just tab and it'll pop you over to the next cell. Great. So I'm just going to copy and paste the percent, and then we'll create this formula. So this is again going to equal 55%. So you hit equal, click F10, go back to your data, it's your bench, use your 365 strong number, and hit equal. Well, that's not right. Oh, I did plus, that's why. It needs to be times. Let me delete that and start over, because it's set in percent mode and I'm just not going to fix that right now. Oh, I'm going to have to. Okay, so if you ever get something goofy like this, it shouldn't be 5,225%. But since I started and added it up instead of multiplying it, it's showing this as percent. So you're going to go up to View, and it may be different if I'm using a Mac. It may be a little different on a PC. And you go to Formatting palette. Come over here, and what it says here is it's saying show this as a percentage. Well, I don't want it to show it as a percentage. I want to see it as a number. So now it's right. So that's, sometimes you can tell Excel to show you all different things. Sometimes you'll want to see it as date, as money, currency, all sorts of different things. But in general, all we want is numbers. And let's do it one more time for deadlift. Again, click back on the data sheet. Deadlift max, hit enter. Yeah, now it's doing everything as percents. That's annoying. Sometimes that happens. You can just fix it by putting it back at number or general. Okay, so now we have our first week, and we've set it up, and we're doing 3 sets of 10. Now this is our low bar squat competition bench. Oh, this needs to be one lower. It's not lined up. There we go. Perfect. You can see how these are kind of annoying to set up and how you wouldn't want to do this over and over again every time. So the last thing I'm going to do real quick is do this product of the weight times total reps for volume. That's not right. There, that's right. So now, on your workout, just by changing, and imagine, I'm not going to do it for all of it, you can put in your, if this was high bar squat, or low bar squat rather, for your main movement, you could put high bar in there, and you could do your same sets and reps for whatever you're doing for your assistance work. Put in your weight if you have something on your data sheet that happened to be, you know, your high bar squat if you wanted to be precise, or if you just make it a lower percentage of your squat max, you could do that. So let's say you can low bar squat 150 pounds, but you can only high bar squat 120. So what is that? That's 30. That'd be about 80%. Yeah, about 80%, something like that. So instead of making a whole nother thing to look at, if you want to do, you know, 3 sets of 10 for this same same volume, but you know you can't do 3 sets of 10 at the same weight because it's going to be too difficult. Just make this 47.5% and do it that way. So that way you don't necessarily have to have, you know, a new max for everything you do. Oh, that's not right either. No, I did plus again. I keep doing that. There we go. So sometimes if you see something that looks way off like that, it was 140. Obviously I know 140 is not 47% of 150. So I knew I had made a mistake. So you can double click in there and go, what I had done is I had done an addition instead of a multiplication. But anyways, you can do that and you can set up your whole workout. And you can do that for week 1, again for week 2, again for week 3, 4, 5, and you can change these sets and reps to whatever you need it to be. And your volume is going to change because your volume is looking each week at this and this. You could add up at the end of each week. Something you can do to add things easy is you just click on it. So see here, I'll click on 30 and it gives me the cell. If I just come up and click again, see how it's a green box instead of a blue box? That shows it's adding. So again, the blue box is there, the green box is there, and let's just say I wanted to add those all up. You hit enter. That's how many total reps I've done. Let's use that same thing, and I want to see how much volume I've lifted. Lower body. That's lower body volume. And then I'll put upper body volume in there too. So you can break things up by upper body and lower body. Again, this is all very basic because it takes a while, as you can see, to set it up, but it's worth it to set it up because once it's complete and you have a 12-week periodization set up, you can put your assistance work and cable work in here. If you're doing 2 main movements, you could have, you know, oh, that's funny, day 3. You could have a day 4. Let's say you got day 4 down here. You can do whatever you want. You can have as many days as you want. You can put whatever exercises you want. I always start with barbell and then move to dumbbell or assistance work. You change your sets and your reps each week. You have all of your weights based on one sheet, one number here. Let's say you remax. You do a 200 pound, or sorry, let me undo that. If you ever make a mistake, the undo button is your friend. Let's say you remax and you get 200 pounds, gives you 365 strong number of 190, 150 pound bench, and a 300 pound deadlift. You see automatically all of your 365 strong numbers have changed. Automatically your total has changed. And, this is the genius of it, your weights have changed because you've told it to look at that 365 strong number from the data sheet. It automatically repopulates all of your sets, or all of the weights that you do. Your sets and reps stay the same, the percents stay the same, but this weight right here changes. And because the volume column is looking at the weight column multiplied by the reps column, when the weight column changes, and this automatically changes too. And everything that you do automatically updates, and all you have to do is change these 3 cells. And it'll give you your entire workout for 12 weeks. Now, this is something that I've made up and I'll make available online for you guys. It's nothing special. All it is I took the percentages from my video that I made. This is the, what is this? The part 2. One thing I want to note, this should not be 3 sets of 5 and 2 sets of 5. It should be 5 sets of 3 and 5 sets of 2. Since you're using 95% of your 1 rep max, you maybe could do this week for 3 sets of 5, but certainly you're not going to be doing set of 5 with 90. So I should have had that written out better on my notes. Sorry about that, but just to correct, it should be 5 sets of 3, not 3 sets of 5. 5 sets of 3, 5 sets of 3, 5 sets of 2. So I just wanted to let you guys know that, to clarify that on this program. But I took all of these percentages and the 3x10s, the 3x8, 5x5, all that good stuff, and the percentages, and I pushed it into the Excel sheet here. Now I'll zoom in here a little bit so you guys can see. Again, 3 sets of 10 for 30 reps. The percent is 55. I switched the weight and the percent in this this particular sheet. and the volume. I've also color coded it so that I like to keep different colors. It helps me see things. And again, the first 3 weeks here, week 1, week 2, and week 3 are all on protocol 1. Protocol 2, the next 3 weeks. Protocol 3, the next 3 weeks. And so you read this in a zigzag format. It goes across until you get to the end of the row and you go back. So you can see here, this week is what we just made on the other sheet. This week is 3 by 8, total of 24, different percent, different weight lifted. So when you go into the gym, you look to see what weight you need to work up to, and then you do it for the sets and reps for that day. This goes all the way down until you get to your week 10, and I changed it up a little bit. Instead of having it exactly the same as the one I put up online, here you're doing 2 sets of 2. The week before you had done 5 sets of 2, 5 sets of 3, 5 sets of 4. So 5 sets of 4, 5 sets of 3, 5 sets of 2, 2 sets of 2 at 90%. And then you're going to come in on your last week and you do 3 sets of 1 rep, and you're doing 1 rep at 90%, 1 rep at 92.5%, and 1 rep at 95%. Saw a typo right here. There may be some typos in here that you guys will have to fix. The point of this is not for you to use the program that I've made. It's extremely basic. I haven't filled any assistance work in here. I haven't filled in really anything. I've just said this is a squat day, bench day, and deadlift day. And it's a basic template to start with if you haven't done anything before. On this day, I just want to point out, since there's 3 different percents that you're using, it's difficult to make it say 3 different weights. It's not impossible, but on this day you're going to have to figure out what 90% of your training weight is, and you're going to have your training weight again on that data sheet. So on that day you can just write it in. So to recap, you have one sheet. Let me zoom out a little bit so we can see this a little bit better. You have one sheet that goes through a 12-week program. There are 3 weeks on each protocol. You've got 4 protocols. 3 weeks on each protocol gives you 12 weeks. You work up through 11 weeks, and then you take some rest days. These are the most important part of this. I guarantee you that if you don't rest and you just keep working out, you're not going to have as good of a remax. And on this 3rd day, you're going to test all 3 lifts on the same day. If you're a power lifter in competition, you lift all 3 lifts the same day. It doesn't matter if you have a great bench, but you can't do that great bench after squats. It's something I learned the hard way. So when you remax, I highly advise you do a mock meet. You do 3 squats, 3 benches, and 3 deadlifts, just like you would do in competition. That's my advice. It's a gym mock meet, and that's what you put in. Those numbers is what you put in for your raw max, of which your 365 strong number is a part through the equation that then comes out to all the other sheets, or to all the other workouts. And every time you re-enter those numbers, it just changes all of the things here. Now again, if you want to use two squat exercises a day, you put your low bar squat in here and you put your high bar squat in here, and you change the percent a little bit. And let's say you wanted to do pause squats and you change the percent a little bit. That's exactly what the cube program is, the cube kingpin that is. Let me see if I can pull it up here and show you kind of what mine looks like here. Here we go. This is the 4-day split. And I have a video outlining a little bit of the cube principles so that you can look at that. But this is how I've broken it up. On day 1, I have a deadlift variation, or a primary deadlift and deadlift variation. So sumo pull from the floor and a block pull, followed by a floor press. So you can see I'm mixing and matching days here. It's not just deadlift on this day. It's also bench press. Then I have my assistance work. The assistance work is fluid. Pick your weak spots and do some bodybuilding style sets and reps. 4 sets of 15 is what I have in here for some lat work. I'm not currently doing that, but I've done it before. It's great. Then I added in a second bench day and shoulder day. This is an easy day. These are just fillers right here, 3 sets of 10. I actually didn't do 3 sets of 10. I did a bunch of different sets and reps. Oh, I see a broken part of my equation there. I'll just fix that here in the video. Great. And so you're just going to do some stuff on this day. As far as me, the biggest part is the incline dumbbells and the military press. The rest is work on my biceps, work on my upper back, and work on flexibility for squat depth. That was a big part of what I was trying to do this cycle. Actually didn't end up doing as much hip abductor work as part of this workout as I would have liked. Ended up actually doing some mobility work at home if you are interested. Anyways, back to the programming. So day 1, deadlift and bench press. Day 2, some sort of pressing movement and some shoulders. Day 3, competition squat and high bar squat, followed by competition bench and close grip bench. I do this because it helps me get my bench trained after I'm already fatigued, just like I'll be doing in competition. It doesn't have to be that way. You can sometimes build up a really good bench when you're not tired and then have an even better one even though you're a little fatigued. There's all sorts of ways to do it. You don't have to do it this way, but this is a way that I like. And then I have a 4th day where I'm doing a pause squat, a bench, and a different type of deadlift. This says 2-inch deficit. I actually did in my last and most recent cycle. I'm doing conventional deadlifts, not a deficit. Again, you can change these variations any way you want, but you have a primary deadlift, deadlift variation 1, and deadlift variation 2, as I've written it up. You could have deadlift variation 3 if that's what your focus was, and put that in on day 2. So you're doing 4 types of pulling movements a week. This is written up so that day 2 helps me have more frequency with bench press because that's the lift I'm trying to increase. Now you can do this on a 4-day split here, or you could do it on a 3-day split as it's written out here. And this one I did only one squatting exercise before I did my benching and then did a high bar squat. And I had an extra pressing movement. I had double pressing movements here. So again, it's very fluid. But the point of all this is it's all built out of a formula like this. And even when that sheet I just had up, this Kingpin, it's all based off a data sheet that's based off of these 365 strong training numbers. That's where everything comes from. And I put in here all of my mock meets at various times, and I keep track of when I do them. So you can put the date in there, and you can write out what you did in your total. This was in a competition. This was in a competition. This is a mock meet, and I have in here the difference. The way you get a difference is you just say equals this cell D2 minus C2. So instead of adding them, you're subtracting them. And then you tell this, just like we did with the sum, where you add up the total there, you just add up all the differences to see what your progress has been. And so I keep track of that. Over here, I decided to just kind of put out what it would look like if I got 5 pounds on each lift. And I made a little chart here, and I'm keeping track, color-coded, with where my lifts have been at various times. It's good to keep track of that sort of stuff. But the most important part, you don't have to create all this other stuff. This is just kind of fluff. The important part are these numbers, because these 3 cells update everything on this page. All that stuff. It updates all of my weights for all of it. Same thing with this page. Every page is linked. All of it. All of the weights are all linked back to these 3 numbers. And that's how you should set up your Excel sheet, so that when you start a new cycle, you don't have to re-enter number after number after number after number. Because it's going to take too much time, and you're going to make mistakes. I mean, it's like taking a math test. Are you going to make mistakes? It's easy math, but you'll still make mistakes. At least I do. And so I set it up right the first time, and then all I ever have to do is go back and change these. So again, you got to remember to click down here to go back and forth. I will put up this. It'll be called, sample chart or linear periodization or something like that. I'll put it up online, and I'll put a link in the description to this video to it, and hopefully you guys will be able to do it. If you can't, download it. I'll try to figure something else out. I'm not super technical that way, but I'll do the best I can. And if you don't have Excel, not 100% that you'll be able to use it. You will have to have access to a computer with Excel. But I think you can probably go to a library or somewhere and just get access to Excel, download it from the internet, print it out, and then you would have it. So every 12 weeks you'll have to go print out a new one or something. But you can figure out a way if you really want to. But the point of this, and I want to say this again, the point of this is not for you guys out there to just use this cycle. Modify it, change it, use your brains, read, do some research. If you're serious about powerlifting, you know, something you're going to be doing for decades of your life if you're really dedicated to it and want to be the best, then spending a week or two researching, programming, understanding training philosophies, reading articles online, doing some research, asking lifters, sending emails to people. If you're doing something for decades, investing a couple of weeks or a month to researching it is nothing. But it can make all the difference. It's a small amount of time, but it can render huge results. And it's not something everybody is willing to do, but I think if you're dedicated to it and you really care, it's time to move beyond, what a lot of people talk about, like bro mentality. You need to have a plan. And if you don't have a plan that's thought out carefully and that makes sense, that's logical, then you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And so that's just as important as going to the gym and training hard. It's just as important as even nutrition, at least for powerlifting. Nutrition doesn't seem to be the most important thing, but good programming is very important. And there's a lot of good programs out there, so try them, learn them. But make something up like this. You don't need to necessarily purchase something from somebody. This is all that they've done. If you know how to do a sum, a product, and subtraction, then you can pretty much make anything you want. Just so you know, the way that you color code things, if you don't like the way I've color coded stuff, click into a cell and hold down when you click and drag across to what you want to make a color. Come over here under, borders and shading. It may be called different on a PC or in a different Excel, and pick a color. It doesn't matter what color you pick. You can pick pink for all I care, but make it the way that you want it, and make it easy for you to read, and make it something you can follow. So I hope this helps. I hope you guys can download it okay. I'm going to try my best to get it up here in the next few minutes, so we'll see how that goes. But anyways, that's that. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. If you are new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. I always appreciate subscribers. And if you like it, wherever you're at. I hope you guys are all doing well, and I hope that this is going to help you guys get stronger and keep on those gains. Anyways, take it easy.